Hey everybody, Felix Staffelbaker here. Wanted to make a video about Block 1 being the picks and shovels of this new asset class, of this new emerging technology that's going global, that's going to take the world by storm. And when we look back at history and we see the gold rush of the 1800s, you know, there were a handful of people, a handful of lucky people who found what is known as a mother lode, who were digging in the dirt themselves, uprooting gold in California and other places like that, and were able to find enough gold to become fabulously wealthy and be able to basically help their whole families and become superiorly independent, especially for the time when gold was so valuable, and you know, you could come across it if you were looking in the right spot. But there were so many people who tried and failed and never actually found any gold or any meaningful gold that would change their lives. And so there were a handful of people who were even smarter than those people, and what they did was they would actually build picks, and they would build shovels, and they would build wash pans, and they would just build out these tools, and they would set up camp outside of areas where they knew throngs of people would be coming through on their way from the east coming westward in order to find gold during the gold rush. You know, everybody was hearing about all these crazy stories about some guy overnight becoming, you know, as wealthy as 100 families, and they would want to be interested in that, and especially if they were down on their luck, not having as much money and not really having any future prospects. They were seeing that same opportunity and thought that they could be the one that if they just looked in the right spot, they would be able to win the mother lode. Well, these people would sell picks and they would sell shovels, and every miner would need a pick and a shovel and a wash pan and this or that or whatever gadgets that the wives of these guys would come up with. And they would say, oh, you need this out on the trail, it'll do this. And some of them were really useful, some of them were gimmicks. But what happened was the people who produced the picks and shovels, the infrastructure to be able to mine the gold itself, made out much more wealthy and much more sustainable wealth over the long run than had they themselves went and looked for any meaningful amount of gold. And right now I see that's the same type of approach Block 1 is taking. Instead of investing into all these tiny little projects and doing other little things, what they're doing is building out this infrastructure of picks and shovels through things like Bullish, where it's a actual exchange that institutions, hedge funds, all these mega players will be able to come and access these tiny little gems that could turn out to be mother lodes. But what Block 1 is doing is actually building out the infrastructure and providing these picks and shovels for the new people who end up coming in later to build their projects, host their projects, all these kind of things that Bullish is going to do. And then we look at, you know, all the infrastructure that they're doing. They've got all the mining with Northern AG, that they have an increased ability of, you know, up to like 200 or 300% of what they initially are investing in for their servers. I think they can increase it up to like 200%, something like that, depending on, you know, the amount of return that they're getting and how much they want to put into the operation. And so they're investing in things like mining and all these types of base level infrastructure, pick and shovel type moves that will gain them longer returns over the long period, rather than trying to dig here, dig there, and try to find a mother lode. They're actually seeing this thing for the long haul and really putting their stake down for an extended period of time to make them one of the biggest players in this space, if not the actual world. And I don't think a lot of people really realize that that's what they're actually up to. Those people made more money when they sold the picks and shovels to all of the prospectors and all of the miners than they would have if they just tried to find gold themselves or heard through word of mouth, all that type of stuff. I don't think people are really understanding just how big of a player Block One is and how long term they're going to be one of the most sustainable companies, and making themselves an absolute behemoth out of the gate, even though a lot of these people are trashing them and saying they haven't fulfilled any of their promises, when in reality they've under-promised and over-delivered on literally everything they've talked about. And so, in recognizing what they're actually doing and what they're going for and what they're trying to achieve, there's people who have absolutely no idea and have been in this space the entire time, and they're going to get blindsided by what Block One has done and what they've been doing and what they're going to continue to do, because they refuse to accept a objective reality where their view isn't necessarily what's going to happen. I've never seen a time in history where the majority, the masses, the prevailing popular opinion has ever been correct. You can go back all the way to the Greek philosophers, people who thought that the earth was rotating around the universe and that everything rotated around it. I mean, that was the popular opinion, and anybody who knows anything knows that's not true. But at the time, if you said otherwise, they would kill you. So it's like, you have to understand, we're at that point where only a handful of people who really delve into things and really can put these seemingly unconnected dots together to form a beautiful Mona Lisa will understand what's happening. By the time everybody else understands what's happening, it'll be too late. And so, be part of that pick and shovel movement where you're not chasing some mother lode and you're literally hunkering down for the long haul and making large sustained wealth over the long term. So I just want to put that out there. Block One is the picks and shovels of the crypto space. Stoffel Baker out.